so much for inviting me and introducing me. And also, I'm particularly happy and honored that the ambassador of the Philippines, Madam Doming Arabat, is here, and also Max Titten from SWP, and of course, first of all and foremost, all of you that you are here to join this, the symposium seminar organized by ICD. And I am ambassador here since 1.5 years, but I have been already 3 times in Germany, posted, twice in Bonn, and 1 time in Düsseldorf. But I studied also at the University of Göttingen, which is rather close to Hanover. So I speak a little bit German, but today I'm supposed to speak in English. And English is the universal language, lingua franca. And so I'm particularly happy and honored to speak also in English. Today's, topic is the Japan's role in Asia and multiple world order. It is very clear that we are now, living in a world where more and more the multipolarization is proceeding. We used to talk about the bipolarity, which lasted about 50 years, and this, bipolar world kept the peace. But it could be perhaps, it happened to be so. And there was a, moment of a crisis. But humankind, overcome this with the, the utmost efforts. But the crisis was always the case. Now today, we are proceeding into the world of multipolarization of the world. I would like to say that, there are many people who say that multipolarization or multipolar world is rather unstable and could contain a lot of dangers or could even become, the war situation. But is it really so? I would like to show you some example, and that is the historical precedents of the multipolarity in international politics. And that was a book that was written in 1994. I read this book in 1994, and I was a little bit surprised that, already in those days, immediately after the demise of the Cold War, and Mr. Charles Raymond and Gregory Raymond and Kegre Jr. Wrote this book and then analyzed how was the multipolarity in a modern history. We have the 6 times in the modern history, the multipolarity. And the famous one is the, of course, the 3, number 3, and it's, so-called Westphalia system of Westphalian system. After 30 years, this system lasted about, more than 50 years. And the players were about 6 or 7, and that was kept the more than 50 years. And also the next famous one is the most famous one is the number 5, parenthesis number 5, from 1815 to 1914, and this is the Congress of Vienna system, as you rightly know. That is after the Napoleonic Wars. This Congress, Vienna Congress system, kept the more than 100 years, or approximately 100 years, the kept the world peace, with having the 7 or 8 the players in the world. In those days, Europe was one of the most advanced areas. And so I think to keep and maintain about 100 years, this world peace was a very, very great the case. So we have 6 cases of the multipolarity. That means that multipolarity is more natural than a unipolar world or bipolar world. So this is the inclination of the human being to have more, so to speak, the multilateral systems. People tend to, go from, the unilateral to multilateral. And so I think we are living so-called a natural, the state of affairs of the humankind. But of course, to keep and maintain the world order is not an automatic thing. It's not an automaticism. We have to, exert every efforts to maintain. So we need, of course, a political wisdom. We need a political efforts, and balance of power was as the case in those days. So we need, of course, a kind of the balance of power or the system, which can be utilized for maintaining the world peace. Now, it is. It has been said the receding of the declining of the ideologies, and the expansion of the globalization, and that has much of those issues has been said. I would like to say that the world is now going into the world of less ideology and more globalization and more geopolitics. Now I think the national interest or geopolitical interest plays an important role. So how to keep the balance between the interests that could be harbored and maintained by the group of countries or region or individual country. This is very important to be followed, and also to be coordinated. Multipolarization of the global economy is also the case. People used to talk about the globalization is good or bad. At the outset, 1980s or 1990s, 1990s, when the globalization was discussed, the people were very much afraid of having globalization. But now globalization is a fait accompli, is the situation. We shouldn't be afraid of this, but we should keep this. We should control this. And Lehman crisis, Lehman shock showed that how the great and the damages the collapse of this system might bring to the rest of the world. We are now talking about European crisis, the exemplified by Greece. I do hope that this could be, well controlled. This is not solely the problem of the European countries. The first and foremost, the efforts must be made by the European countries. But I think it has also, lots of the great impact upon the rest of the world, including also my country. So we cannot be less interested. We should keep interest. But nowadays, I think it is so multi-faceted and interrelated. And the rise of the emerging countries is, of course, the new feature of the multipolarity. The multipolarity does not only mean the multipolarity of the developed countries, advanced countries, but this is the word of developed countries as well as the developing countries or newly emerging countries. So this is a complex situation. And as you rightly know, that GDP, of the developed countries could be and will be, decreasing from nearly close 80% today to 63%. GDP of the emerging countries will be, increasing almost to 40% of the world total in 2014. In 4 years, in 5 years. So this is the great change. So 40-60 situation. Developed countries 60. I'm sorry, and developing countries 40%. So it's almost equal. So this is the situation in 5 years time. And also the increase of this stature of the East Asian countries is very eminent. I don't have to show you, but since I have prepared, then I would like to show you. population and GDP and per capita GDP and urban population. We have the mega regions, so to speak, 3 mega regions, and that is EU, and the other one is USA, and the third one is East Asia. Now, the population is huge in case of the East Asian. It's no comparison, and the cultural diversity, and the large regions is of course the case. GDP is the approaching close to USA, the nominal GDP, whereas the per capita is still lagging, very much behind the per capita of the EU and USA. And urban population is now increasing in the East Asian countries. It will be almost 50%. It will be also increasing a lot in the near future. So that would show that how the power is now emerging and becoming large. And but multipolar world does not mean that the many number of the countries are playing. It is only of course there is some limit of numbers. And those countries I have listed here would be perhaps playing an important role in the present and modern multipolar world. Those are the countries which belong to the G20s, and so I think those members of the G20 will be playing an important role in the years to come. In addition, I have to say that there are many groupings of the countries, which is very important to be known. Maybe you know already, or you don't know. But I would like to mention at the bottom the BRICS and Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, and IBSA, IBSA. And those are, rather commonly known to the members of the United Nations. And also when you are in New York, they're calling IBSA, SCO, or BRICS, or whatever, jargons. But it's not simply a jargon, but this is the actual entity, an actual movement that is taking place. BRICS is, the countries, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And that was created, coined, this word was coined by some analyst, I don't know, Goldman Sachs or so. He or she pointed out that the BRICS were coming. But BRICS is not only, a tactical or technical, wording, but also there's a grouping. And so there are foreign minister conference, there are summit meeting of the BRICS, there are, the activities, political, economical, and also the others, to fine-tuning the meaning of the opinions of those 4 countries. And the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is the organization which has been created by the countries like China, India, China, Russia, and the Central Asian countries. And I think that India is an observer. Iran could also be an observer. And so it entails those countries, lying in the Eurasian continent. And they are also, coordinating the views. And there has been a summit meeting of the, Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Russia. And they are also, making some military, the cooperation and confidence-building measures and so forth. The most important thing is to fight against terrorism, and so they are also coordinating the policies in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. IBSA is the the grouping of the countries of the south, large the developing countries in the south, but which are democratic, and that is the Indonesia. I'm sorry, India. I'm sorry, India, Brazil, and South Africa. SA is South Africa. So those 3 countries which are claiming that they are democratic countries in the world, in the southern world. And they are also meeting together, creating and also coordinating their views and giving an also the impact to the rest of the world. But now IPSA is also, thinking about the enlargement of this. And South Africa is, of course, the case, but some of the countries also show interest. So those are the multipolarization that we have. You may be perhaps asking, what is about G2, China and America? I'm not of the view that G2 is a grouping. I'm not of the view that G2 is existing. It's only that people are talking about this, but China clearly denies that G2 would not be the case, and the U.S. is not so much as a government saying this, but strategic partnership is of course there. But I think that on the Chinese side there is some reservation to shoulder responsibility, and China is always saying that we are not the superpower, and China is a developing countries. So there might be some the hesitation on the side of China to take responsibilities, which is tantamount, which is corresponding to the economic power or bigness of the countries. So I think we're talking about G2, but in reality, I think it is not the case. So those kind of things, as I described, is the actual situation of the present multipolarized world order. Now, what is Japan's foreign policy? Based upon this, the premises that we have mentioned, that I have mentioned, we have to formulate a new Japanese foreign policy towards the rest of the world. I would like to say that Japan is not only a advanced countries, belong to the G7 or G8 or G20, but at the same time, Japan belongs to Asia. And, it is very clear that we are a member of the Asian community. But at the same time, Japan is a Pacific oriented and is a member of the Pacific community. And so Japan belongs to both, the Pacific community and the Asian community. So we understand very well the situation, what is happening in Asia, what is happening in the Pacific community. So our view is, spreading, very wide. And so that we have a very good relations with the rest of the other end of the Pacific community, first and foremost United States, but at the same time Canada and also the countries of Latin America, including Mexico and so on, and Brazil and so on and so forth. But we have a very, very rather unstable situation in the Far Eastern or East Asian area because of the what should I say, the launching of the missiles or detonation of the nuclear the bomb detonation and experiment done by the North Koreans. We don't know what is happening in that country. We have no diplomatic relations. I would try to establish it, but it's not easy. And so we don't know exactly what is happening in that country. We have also China. We have a good relation with China. We should maintain this. But at the same time, China is building up their military. And for more than 20 years, they are expanding their military with 2 digits. So we should also, ask the China to be more transparent with regard to the military, build-up. And China is now, building, building up the naval, and so naval fleet of China is coming very often to the closest areas of Japan. So when I look at the situation in, and also we have Taiwan and China issue, is a potent, latent issues, and we have also the Pakistan-India rivalry, and we have also Iran, on the other on the western side of the ASEAN. So in one word, we are able to say that Asia is a hope. Asia is a power, but at the same time, Asia is not so much stable. So we need the core of the stability, and that is, I think, the Japan-U.S. alliance. And as you rightly know, that we have military base of the United States, and for a long time. It's of course a burden. It's a burden for the people living there in Okinawa. Okinawa is a small island, south of Japan. But the fact is that this military base, and also with it the Japan-U.S. alliance, is keeping the stability and peace in that world or beyond. And we are now, commencing the anniversary of the Japanese-American Security Treaty, 50th anniversary. The problem is there. You know that you have already seen in the papers or in television reporting that after the change of the Japanese government, there is a move to ask the United States to move their military base from Okinawa to the other side, to the other region, to the other part. And the present government has promised to the people that they will be examining this problem. And Prime Minister Hatoyama, set the date to the end of this month. We are examining. He'll be examining the possibility of either moving from Okinawa to moving of the base from Okinawa to the other part of Japan, or to the United States, back to the United States, or whatever. So it should be decided. It is not easy. It is not easy, and this is a high political issue. And the United States also has a great interest in seeing what is going to happen, and it is also an internal issue of Japan. So it should be somehow. I hope that it will be solved, but it's a very difficult issue as well. Now we are also applying more intensively in an intensified way the idea of East Asian Community concept. This East Asian Community concept is nothing new. It has been already proposed by Prime Minister Koizumi in 2002 in Singapore, and saying that we need a community of the countries in those areas. But it is very difficult, of course. It is to create a European community. I think it took about more than 50 years. So it's not a problem of the this evening and tomorrow. It cannot be done overnight. We need the 50 years, 30 years, 40 years, or even more. So it's a long perspective. It's a long-term issue. But to have that kind of the concept is important because if we have a common dream in the Asian countries, Pacific countries, then I think we are able to cooperate more, and then forgetting small trifle things, because it is very, very usual in humankind or the society of the humankind to have some differences, but we should have something to unite us. In the East Asian countries or in East Asia, there was not such kind of the grand ideology or grand strategy, except the fact that the ASEAN is now uniting. ASEAN is the core. ASEAN is doing more, so to speak, integration process. And that is rather close to the concept of the European community, But what about the China? What about Japan? What about India? What about those countries? Korea? So we should perhaps have that kind of aspiration. And Prime Minister Hatoyama, after he took office last year, in September last year, he proposed this once again, or anew, and saying that he will be pursuing this purpose. And he mentioned one person, and that is the Count Coudenhove Kalergi. It's very difficult for us to pronounce this name, Coudenhove Kalergi, but please remember his name, because he is a father of the European unification process, and he was Count of the Habsburg, dynasty. And after the World War I, First World War, he proposed the pan-Europeanism, and he wrote many books. And but anyway, in those days, nobody believed that there is a European integration process. But now the Europeans have this. So the things that seems to us impossible can become a real thing. So we should dream. And Coudenhove Kalergi is the gentleman who came whose father came to Japan, and his father married to a Japanese lady, and his mother, his name is Mitsuko, and so he was, Habsburg Japanese, European Japanese, the mixture. And so I think it's in that sense also a motivation for Japanese to think about the cooperation or community building in this part of the world, in Asia Pacific. There are so many issues to think about. The first one is that the U.S. participation. U.S. President Obama came to Japan in November last year saying that I'm the first president of the United States who came from this region, Asia Pacific. He was born in Hawaii. He was brought up in Indonesia. So he has a great sympathy, affiliation to the Asia Pacific. And he said that the United States will be pursuing, the United States will be seeking their role in Asia Pacific in economic terms, political terms, not only in military terms. And so I think she has a strong sense of participation and membership in the Asia Pacific regions. And the United States, would like to become a member of the community, the organization in Asia Pacific. So I think this is the first. He's the first president to say, and not only saying, but he's acting also on that behalf. East Asian community is, of course, easy to be said. But what we are thinking as Japanese is not the East Asian community as it could be represented in Europe, in European community or European Union, but we are trying to have the small capital community. So it should not be written in the large capital. East Asian small community. Community, it's not tight. It's not. It's rather open. It's rather open and loose, in its nature. And it's a regionalism which does not, reject anything from the outside. It should more comprehensive, more, inclusive, and also, so it is open to the, membership. But at the same time, it's a functioning community. It's not a regional geographical community, but it should be, a functional committee. That means that, trade and investment, education, and also the other economic areas, science and technology, and, all those kind of things could unite the countries to work together for common purposes. And those are purpose-oriented, function-oriented community. And that is the idea of Japan. If you only, limiting the regions and saying that we are, Asians, I think it is not conducive to the stability, and we should be more open to the rest of the world. And that's the idea. And many countries in South Asia, Southeastern Asia, including the Philippines and Malaysia, they're also saying that we are open. And the core is the ASEAN countries, 10 countries. But how to include the rest of the membership is nowadays open, so that it is open to the United States. It is open to the also the other countries. We are thinking of so to speak the always centering around ASEAN. ASEAN plus 3, ASEAN plus 6, or ASEAN plus 6 plus alpha. ASEAN plus 3 is Japan, China, Korea. ASEAN plus 6 is Japan, China, Korea, plus New Zealand, Australia, and India. ASEAN plus 6 plus alpha, could also be, meaning United States or some of the countries as well. And I think, that this the idea about the membership, a question of the membership, cannot be and shall not be decided right now. We should wait until the process, we're getting some move, and until the maturity will be there. Maturity in what sense? I mean that the most important thing with regard to this regionalism, open regionalism, is a democracy. Is a democracy. This must be the basis. Democracy, rule of law, human rights. Those are the the most important things. But I don't think that in whole Asia this is the case already. I don't think so. We should exert more efforts, but it takes time. We cannot force the horse to go to the river and drink water. We can only bring the horse to the river. To drink water or not, it is their choice, his choice. But anyway, we will do our utmost efforts, and ASEAN has already a charter, and based upon those 3 principles. So it should be the basis. A country like Indonesia, for example, is now putting so much emphasis on democracy. There is a Bali Democratic Forum, to which the Prime Minister of Japan, Mr. Hatoyama, participated last December. And he even acted as a co-chair. It is important, such a huge country like Indonesia, the largest Muslim population in the world, is heading and tending towards the democracy. That is encouragement. So we need this, and we have to wait a little bit so as to be able to decide who are the real members. So it must be perhaps for a moment there exists, so to speak, a plural ideas. The one we have is ASEAN, or ASEAN plus 3, or ASEAN plus 6. ASEAN plus 6, by the way, is sometimes called the EAS, East Asian Summit meeting. East Asian Summit has already, India and Australia, New Zealand as well. And we have also the APEC. This is the regional frameworks. So maybe I think it will be become even more clear. We have the ASEAN. We have the ASEAN plus 3, as I already mentioned, and EAS, East Asian Summit. This will contain India, New Zealand, Australia. And then we have the APEC, which is more Asia Pacific community, and we have the ASEM, this Asian and European, and we have the ARF, including also the Russia, ASEAN Regional Forum. So this is the mechanism, and this will be existing for years, and I think it is right. We shouldn't, decide one or two. Pluralities and diversity is necessary. So this is the concept that we are now, seeking. And then my last point is what is going to become the global governance. I said in Asia Pacific we are now, having a concept of the Asian community, East Asian community, but at the same time, when you look at the global, the whole world, we have the United Nations, we have the G8, we have the G20, and of course we have the other, fora. As I said, IBSA, IPSA, or whatever. But the important things could be perhaps, those things: United Nations, G20, G8. What is going to happen with regard to the United Nations to manage the global security and global order and world economic development, and also the climate change issue, so on and so forth, those global issues? I think that United Nations must also change because the time has changed. The situation has been changing so rapidly, but we are maintaining those organizations. This organization, which has been created, in 1945, immediately after the World War II is over. United Nations has a great task, and I do think that this idea and system will remain, but it needs a reform, and so that we also need to change, in our view, the Security Council, and then most of the countries do believe that shall be the case, but the format, the way how to reform is not such a simple issue as to who should be the member, permanent, non-permanent, and how many countries, from what region, and whether those new permanent members shall possess a veto right or not, or what is the regional representation, and what is the relationship with the General Assembly, and so on. And this is a whole complex of issues that we need very intense discussions. We have already discussed this issue more than how many years? 15 years, and no results. So there is some frustration, and also the world is changing. So there comes also new actors, and they are claiming. And also there are rivalry between two countries or three countries or among the region. So the whole complex issue is there. But we need somehow to change the Security Council sooner rather later. And Japan and Germany, Brazil and India are claiming that they are entitled to be the membership and permanent member of the Security Council. We would like to see. We are now, of course, still exerting efforts to make it possible. But how is the G8? G8, which also includes the Russia, is G8 coping with the situation effectively, and should G8 to be converted to G20? There is hectic discussion over this. But nowadays, I would like to say that most of the countries of G8 do think that G8 is necessary, as a discussion forum to discuss the global issues. Of course, they are of the view that G8 countries cannot solve the questions nowadays, all questions. The G8 could be a core to prepare, for example, the discussions in G20, or there are many perhaps issues that could only be dealt with within the framework of the G8. because G8 is the forum in which advanced countries, or how to call it, the not recipients but donor countries are, there. So that when you talk about the donor policy, talk about the coordination of the donors, then G8 is of course very pertinent. And also the G8, you can also discuss the issue of the other political issues. But when you talk about the G20 economic issue or financial issue, I think the G20 is the right place. And so there will be perhaps, the burden sharing between the G20 and G8. And this year, in June, there will be a G8 meeting in Canada, in Muskoka. I don't know, my pronunciation is right. But at the same time, G20 will be, held back to back. And in November, there will be a G20 meeting to be held in Korea. Next year, France will be the chair of the G8, and France is going to host the two meetings of the G8 and G20. And so I think at the time of the French presidency, there will be perhaps, the more discussions with regard to the burden sharing, work share of the G8 and G20s. Well, I would like to stop here. I wanted to, discuss a little bit about the, this kind of the regional, how to call it, free trade, the issues. And Japan's foreign policy towards nuclear disarmament and cooperation with the EU. But I would like to skip this. But I would like to, show this. I'm always, showing this because it will be shocking, things. And this is the, how the world economy will changing in year 2050. And that is sources PricewaterhouseCoopers and UN Population Fund. In 2050, China is the first, is the largest economy. The United States will be the second. Number 3 is India. 4 is Brazil. Number 5 is Japan. Number 6 is Indonesia. Number 7 is Russia. Number 8 is Mexico, and then UK and Germany and Nigeria and France. So it is rather shocking for Japan and Germany, particularly for Germans. But this is only, one of many forecasts. So we should not, solely rely upon this. But this is the most shocking one I have seen. So, that creates us a sense that we have to work more. We have to, exert more efforts, and we have to ask the younger generation, not me, but younger generation, to work, through looking this picture.